Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Expert Series. My name is Joe Osamendi. I'm your host. And as usual, I introduce my good friend, Roy Swift, who's Executive Director of Workcred, who all the time brings us a guest to talk about the merits of accreditation, certification, and credentialing. Roy, welcome again to the Expert Series.
Yes, thank you, Joe. It's great to be with your expert series again. And again, I'm bringing another expert and an area that I think that the audience is going to really appreciate. You know, we talk a lot about that there are various pathways to career success other than just obtaining a stack of degrees. That there are in this world of certification and certificates that are produced that can be a career pathway in itself. And today we're going to be talking about some certifications that is exactly that way, that produces everything. And I'm happy to really present to you today Erica Brown, who's head of the certifications at ASIS, that's Industrial Security. And you can imagine with all the current events that's going on today, security becomes increasingly important, and it's just a hot subject for people to have employment and things of this sort. So, Erica, tell them a little bit about yourself at ASIS and what you do, and we'll get all this started.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Thank you both for having me today. As Roy said, I'm Erica Brown. I'm the Director of Certification at ASIS International. I've been here for a couple of years, and our certification program manages 4 certifications that are ANAB accredited in 17024. For those certifications, we have everything from an entry-level certification up to a senior level, more of that high-level security practitioner who's managing certification security teams. So we've been around for almost 70 years, ASIS has, and today we are a global community of those security practitioners who have roles in the protection of assets, specifically people, property, information, and our members and certificates manage teams who oversee crisis management, planning, communication, investigations, and systems planning and implementation as well, and a lot of the business side of security.
Erica, security is so important these days, as we discussed. What are some of the prerequisites that people have to have before they get involved with your certifications?
Sure. We have a pretty broad range. As Roy said, we have everything from our entry level that requires no higher education, and as little as 6 months of work experience if you have another supported credential from another organization. If not, with that extra credential, our associate protection professional, that entry level, can come in with 1 year of work experience. So pretty easy way to join this amazing profession. Our higher level credentials could be anywhere from 5 to 7 or 3 to 5 years of experience, depending on your education. But even at those higher level credentials, you can do that with a high school diploma. You do not have to have a college degree. You'll be required to have a little bit more work experience beforehand.
Well, that's one of the things Roy and I talked about when we started this series is the importance of certification, because certification actually represents what your skill set is rather than an academic diploma on the wall. And I think that's what most employers are looking for. Would you agree?
I think so. When you look at any hiring manager, they're looking to know, can you do the job? Mm-hmm. And, we've seen in the news where people maybe falsify their resumes and things. Your certification is that third-party recognition of what you actually know and have been able to demonstrate in the past. And that's what all hiring managers are looking for, is somebody to say, yes, this person actually knows what they're going to do. They're going to be able to come in with a running start when they join your team and be a huge asset to you.
And Erica, the one that requires very little experience and everything, what does that allow somebody to do, that entry level one, for people to get started in the security business?
Sure. They will be a part of that higher level, that management team, but they're going to be more at a coordinator or a management of a specific function role. So they may not be managing other individuals, but they might be managing a specific asset that needs to be protected, a specific part of an investigation. They're still kind of learning from others as they go, but they can still add a critical part of that workforce to the team.
Now, Erica, you said there's several levels of certification. So let's say somebody starts at an entrance level. What's the time frame for them to get that certification and kind of walk through the process of getting a higher degree of a certification?
Sure. So let's use that APP as the example. If they did not have another associated credential, they would need 1 year of work experience to be able to apply and be approved. You can already be studying for your APP before you even get approved, and that's what we do recommend is to kind of make sure this is the right fit for you and get your studies and your resources and references kind of already in alignment before you apply. Most of our folks typically take 3 to 6 months to study for their certification exam, depending on what they do in their day job. Our exams are practice-based. They are written by practitioners. But what I may do in my day job is different than what you do in your day job. So we have a self-assessment guide that we provide for free on our website that candidates can look at and review the body of knowledge that they're going to be tested on to understand what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, so that I can focus my studies on my weaknesses. Because of what we do differently in our day jobs, I may only have a little bit I actually feel I need to really study for because I have a broad base of experience at work. However, if my work experience is pretty focused in a pretty tight area of that body of knowledge, I may need to study quite a bit more simply because I don't do that in my day job. So that is why we have that pretty large range really of that 3 to 6 months is pretty typical for the APP. But once they test, then they're able to work for those couple of years. And the next level up, as I would say in our program, depending on what your background is and what your interests are in your career growth, we have our next 2 levels are those 3 to 5 year work experience requirements for our professional certification, professional certified investigator, the PCI, and the physical security professional, the PSP. Both of those, if you don't have college experience, you would be required to have that upper end of the 5 years of work experience to work through before you would be able to be eligible to test for that. And again, it would be that same cycle of use that self-assessment guide, see where you need to focus your study efforts, and then work your way through that testing process. And then, assuming you want to keep going and you want to be even more successful in your career, you would be looking at our Certified Protection Professional certification. It is our flagship and highest level exam that does require that 5 to 7 years. So, in theory, you could be at the highest level in 7 years, depending on how your career is progressing, in your day job or, and with moves to other companies as you work through that.
Erica, high school students are always looking for successful careers because they just don't feel college is for them. Is there any age restrictions like on the entry level one a high school student could get the certification? Do you have to be 18 or?
No age requirement. It really is, for the APP, it has no education requirement. So that one is really pretty open, but you do have to have that 1 year work experience. So, and it has to be compensated, not an internship. So there is a little bit, I don't know that a high school student would qualify, but they could be working their way along gathering their work experience as they finish up their high school career.
Yeah, because I know many high schools do have work students, sometimes starting at the junior level. So they would have some students who are in the work programs might have, part-time, and it's generally part-time, of course, thing. So it could be cumulative. If they get 2 years at half, that would count for a 1 year, would it? Or
it could possibly, and it would really depend on what are they doing in that job as well.
Yes.
When you submit your application, we do have you kind of map your work experience to your body of knowledge so that my team, who are certification professionals, not security professionals, we want to make sure we're evaluating your resume in the proper way to make sure that your experience does really map to the requirements of the particular certification.
Erica, the pandemic hurt everybody. Let's face it, a lot of mid-management people left. A lot of people had changed their careers, etc. That and also people from the military coming back and suddenly having to transform their skills from the military into the private sector. Do you see that kind of thing really increasing the certification that you offer people?
I think so. We have a fantastic community of transition military and law enforcement, whether it's retirement or just they didn't renew their contract and that type of thing. We have a lot of transitioning folks out of both of those environments. And we have a lot of resources to support them as they make that transition. We have online communities that you can join as a member that will allow you to, literally, chat room type of conversations with other professionals who also transition to get advice. Hey, how did you do this? Where did you find success? We have a lot of companies in the security industry that are very veteran focused that really do support them in that transition. And ASIS in the last year has launched some resources on our website that are free to anybody. You don't have to be a member or anything even, that are focused on that transition point. We have career maps that can say, here's where you were in your years of experience in your particular branch or in law enforcement. What do your counterparts look like in the civilian side? What job title might they have when you're coming out and looking at, well, what jobs should I even apply for? It might give you some ideas. It's not going to be a one-for-one always, but it'll let you know kind of, am I at a manager level? Am I looking at a director level based on my experience? And we also have translation tools, is what we call them. So we have all of the acronyms you can think of on the branches that we've launched that will help you translate your military experience into something that an HR manager can understand in the corporate world. We also have lists of accomplishments that have came directly off of performance evaluations in the military branches, and they've been translated to something that the corporate world, the private security world will understand. So if you said that you led a platoon of X number of people and you did this, we would have, on the other side of that sheet says, led a team of so many people in these important missions. That's really probably not the best example, but you hopefully understand. They're making it so that, if I read the resume as a non-veteran, I would still understand how your skills are transferable. And those are available on our website, and literally we put them out in a PDF, so you can copy and paste them out to use to update your resume to help you find that great job when you transition out.
That is such an important thing. There are thousands and thousands, as people should know, of transitioning military, and they just have no idea where to go for the help and the resources. And your tools sound extremely fascinating and important to the station, because a lot of the military do have a security background. Also, they have security clearances. Do most of the employers, Pablo, require a security clearance in these particular areas, right?
It really depends. Not all of our membership or the companies in this space work in the defense industry. A lot of them do, and that's where your clearance would obviously be very important. But not all of them. If you're in private security and you're doing campus security and crisis management, business continuity, it might really depend on who you're working for.
Right.
Eric, one of the things that people always they call into my show and really love the idea of certification and credentialing is, can I make a good living doing this? Can you kind of tell us what they can expect as far as making a career with good earnings is like?
Sure. I will admit our last salary survey was done in 2019. We're in the middle of updating it, so these numbers, obviously, when you factor in the pandemic, are maybe a little bit needing to be updated. But at that time, certified professionals were making about 20% more than non-certified professionals in the same space. So that is a significant increase for making that effort to get your experience validated. In general, at that time, about a third of non-certified professionals were making more than $100,000 on average.
Wow.
The certified professionals, it was 55% made more than $100,000 a year. Obviously, that's lower when you're getting in, but when you look across the spectrum, you can have a very lucrative career once you get in and move your way through security management.
That is absolutely terrific. I have a lot of grandchildren looking for jobs, and they look at jobs at 50 and 60,000, not 100,000. And I think this is because of the demand and importance of this particular industry.
But probably that entry level is probably more at that 50 to 60. But
Yeah.
you can obviously, there's pretty great growth in the industry.
Well,
Yes, that's very good news for people, I think, to look into this particular area.
absolutely. And as you said, Eric, you can actually go within a 7-year period, which is a relatively small amount of time to be able to really work your way up there. And you know, I think that as you look at the world as a whole and everything, I can't help but think that security is going to be more and more and more important within the next decade than it is now.
I absolutely agree. I mean, you think about anytime you walk out of your house, you know that there's security in the environment around you. If you're going to the mall, you're being watched.
Right.
Whether it's for loss protection or just making sure there aren't any bad guys out there when you're trying to have a great experience with your family out in public. Concerts, movies, like anywhere we go now, there is somebody in the background who has created a management plan in the event something had happened. There's somebody out there who's trying to make sure that it just doesn't happen. And all of those require people who are knowledgeable and skilled in the security environment.
Is there any particular industry that you're seeing a real growth spurt in?
Like I said, I think it is all over the place right now because every industry is getting hit by security. We have online communities that really show us the breadth of our stakeholders. We have communities that are focused in everything from gaming, like think about Las Vegas. There's a lot of security that goes on in Las Vegas. To sports and entertainment. Think about all the arenas. We've got all the college football this weekend and the NFL games. There's a lot in the entertainment world, but also we're bringing it back home. Healthcare, hospitality, schools. Schools are a huge thing in security right now. We also just have your building architecture. There's a lot that goes on to protect every building you go into, whether it's on a college campus, at that hospital, the mall. Like I said, really security is kind of everywhere right now. There's security around all of the oil lines and the petrochemical environment. So the growth in this industry in the next few years is incredible. There was a study done last year in ASIS in partnership with another security organization that looked at that market growth. And it's incredible. The physical security environment for around the globe, not just the United States, for the equipment alone, that market is expected to be worth over $60 billion by the end of 2024 and grow to over $70 billion by 2026.
Erica.
And that's just the equipment. When you add in services and all of the folks who support and implement and install and manage those things once they're actually out there into the world, that entire market was over $405 billion in 2023 and is expected to grow over $500 billion by 2026.
Erica,
so the opportunities really are plentiful, and it doesn't look like it's slowing down anytime soon.
I'll tell you, those figures are so impressive, and we're at the point in my program right now where I'm going to ask you to look in your camera and tell my viewers where they can get more information, how they can contact you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me today as well. Please go to asisonline.org is our website for all of this information. And if you have any questions about certification specifically, you can reach me and my team at certification@asisonline.org. And feel free to follow us on LinkedIn at ASIS International.
Erica, thanks so much for being with us. Roy, would you like to tell my viewers again how they can reach WorkCred?
Well, we certainly believe that certifications is the future. People don't have a lot of time and money to spend, and there are, depending on the degrees that one goes into, the return on investment sometimes is not. I think we can almost assure people that at least the certifications that are accredited, like ASIS, that has had third-party review, we can always be assured that this is going to be a successful career and that it's a profession in demand, which you heard today from Erica, how demanding it is.
Erica and Roy, thank you so much for joining me today on the Expert Series. And what an important topic and great information. And thank you so much. And we'll see you at the next experts.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on the expert series today.